1. You do this every time. I don't get it. Like I even like count you in so you can like do an intro. Hey, welcome to Gamers Last Stand.
I had just taken a bite of sushi. I didn't think you were going to like just be like, all right, not are you ready or anything? It's just, 3, 2, 1. See, now you're doing it. See, I counted and now you deadpan. It's just what happens.
Welcome to Gamers Last Stand, everyone. See?
Yeah, how are you?
Warm and welcoming.
Oh yeah, that definitely defines us.
Yeah, right. After 5 minutes, you can file a restraining order.
But how are you, Mr. Darren?
Today's my day off, and you think day off, do nothing. No, because we're prepping for Thanksgiving, and everybody knows how that goes. We're hosting it this year. I'm smoking a turkey, which I've started the brine process on that. I did it once before. I'm just changing the flavors up a little bit. It's pretty easy enough once you get it on the smoker. So you just kick back and relax. It's just everything else in between, whether it's baking pies or, doing a green bean casserole, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, Amy orders a ham from the Honey Baked Ham Company, which apparently is a thing that I had no idea.
Seriously?
Yeah, like it's an actual brick and mortar place, Honey Baked Ham Company.
No, I know that. I'm saying you didn't know that this was a real thing?
No. If I were to buy a ham, I would just go to the grocery store and just get one there. I don't care. At the end of the day, a ham is a ham. I don't find the distinction. It's like vodka, right? I don't find the distinction in flavor between something that's well and something that's super premium. I just don't. All right. So with a ham, again, the logic to me is the same thing. A ham is a ham. Whatever. No. Amy orders it from the Honey Baked Ham Company. And apparently when you pre-order it, you have a ticket and your pickup time and date. Cool. I thought I was just going over, grabbing it and leaving. I was not expecting to be in line for an hour and a half for a prepaid order.
You realize that you're not the only one with this idea, right? Like this
that I don't like an hour and a half line. I'm pretty sure everyone hates that.
No, and of course everyone hates it.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is that you're doing something with a place. This is probably their busiest day of the year,
right,
for that store.
That was what came through my mind. And apparently Amy went to a different store, which I guess there's one in Ventura last year, and there was no line. She walked in, picked up her ham, done. She ordered the one from the Valley. For whatever reason, she chose a different location. That was just a nightmare.
Ventura and the surrounding areas don't have the population that the Valley
yes,
and the surrounding areas.
And
so
I put that together.
Lesson learned, just, next year after, whatever it happens to be, you just take a little drive up the coast because it's going to take you forever anyway.
And we got another shot at Christmas.
Oh, you're hosting Christmas also?
No, I don't think we're hosting Christmas also, but it's like if we were to order another ham, it would be from the Ventura location, or at least a different one.
But yeah, it's absolutely, it's a store, it's a place.
This better be the most like crazy, wildly tasting, amazing ham that I've ever had in my life. Like it needs to change every perspective I have about ham, because there is no ham, as far as I'm concerned, worth one, $135, and two, an hour 30-minute wait.
Well, it is corporate, first off, so you're paying all that extra stuff. Second, you live in California, so you're paying
extra
those extras.
Yep.
It's the holiday, you are paying those extras. It's the same reason why anytime, and this might be something that you want to remember, because you are now engaged. Whenever you decide to book a venue, make sure you book it for a family reunion. Don't deal with the wedding tax.
I just can't.
I want to feel bad for you, but you deserve this. Everything bad that can. For those that don't know, Darren is my high school bully.
Oh God, you're gonna play this? I swear to God, this is like the most worn out card.
Our viewers have never heard this story. And I'm sorry that you bullied me for so long that it is still, left its mark over 2 decades later.
Okay. I'm going to put the nail in this coffin. For someone that has gone about and apologized for I was absolutely an asshole back then. I'm not pulling any punches on that. And it was mostly because it's just like I just want to see what you do. And if you stood up against me, then hey, cool, cool, whatever. But if you reacted a certain way, much in similar to the way like Wyatt brings up bald jokes to me, very much in the same way. It's very reactionary. But I was
Wait, you're bald?
Wow. All right.
I didn't know. You're always wearing a hat. I have no idea.
You're not baiting me into taking the hat off. All right.
No. I'm not.
But, I'm bald. Been... don't play this down. No. I know a trap when I see one. And
you've been to Thailand, huh?
And so anyway, I made my amends, and there was certain people that there was a lot of people that accepted, what I was trying to become, and there was other people that rejected the idea, either A, for whatever personal reasons they had, or B, they just liked that version of me better. And I went out of my way to be like, look, this is mostly for me. You can take it or leave it. I don't care. And those who continue to bring it up, and I'm not going to mention any names, but it does rhyme with, Dr. Who's. It's like, if you can't get over that hump, then that's on you.
So I guess because we're putting it all out there,
sure,
I haven't cared for 20 plus years. I haven't cared since I stopped talking to you after you graduated high school. You were dead. Like, I didn't conversate with you. I left for the army. I had nothing to do with anything.
I think it was more when you graduated, not me, because I was a grade ahead of you. Yeah.
Whatever.
And you joined the army right after high school.
I did.
Yeah.
And so once I was gone, you are one of maybe 3 people that I still talk to from any of my like schooling.
Oh yeah.
Because
a lot of people, myself included, just disappeared.
Well, no, it's not that. I just don't care. If I really want to keep in contact with them, I'll go to Facebook. I'll go to Instagram. I'll go wherever. Honestly, my life is better off. Most of the people in high school were dicks. Children are assholes. And
here's the thing.
When you realize that as a child, and then also realize it even more as an adult, when people, like, not like you, again, your stuff wasn't abusive. It was funny and it was fine. And I can take a joke and that's cool. It's more of the
way you phrased it. It was perfect. I forget what you said. It was something like, I wasn't the kind of person who said, give me your lunch money or anything like that. You valued me above that, which is kind of true.
I don't actually hold any ill will. And if you want, I can actually say from this moment forward, your debt is paid. But that does not mean that I'm going to be any nicer.
Hang on. You opened up a different can right there. So first of all,
hold on. I didn't, because I did nothing to you to start this whole thing.
No.
Just because you changed as an individual and got nicer does not mean that I now have to just stop being the dick that I am.
Well, hang on. Let's give credit where credit is due, okay?
And I already have. Put it this way. You did not make me want to wear a trench coat during lunch at school, okay?
Okay, I do like the way you phrased the kind of asshole I was back then, because I was very much above the give me your lunch money bully. In fact, I don't even know if you would call it a bully. I was just an asshole. That's what it was. And
kids are assholes. I will willingly teach elementary school up to 5th grade. After 5th through 8th grade. You okay over there?
Again, another fly has a death wish.
Get it? Nope.
But
anyway, no. So I will teach elementary school. Like, I will teach the young kids because they want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I will also teach older kids and college. So I used to be an artist in residence at a high school, and I taught theater there. Cool. Because again, they want to learn. But when you hit those like 10, 11, 12, 13, kind of the 14, they know everything, and it doesn't matter what you tell them. And so again, kids are just assholes. Although I will say, of the actual like group of friends I really had, I think I'm the only one that graduated.
Wow.
Because that was the people that I hung out with. Now, don't get me wrong. I ditched a bunch of school. Holy crap. Did I ditch a bunch of school?
Same.
I showed up for the tests. I made sure that the large assignments were turned in. I just never did homework. And so once I got to college, I looked up the professors that didn't care about homework. I'm going to give you all this credit for trying And under, state standards, because you tried this much, you have a passing grade. So I'm going to say you're proficient in this subject.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that test anxiety is a thing, but if you cannot regurgitate, if you cannot recite what you have learned at a given point, you are not proficient in a subject.
I think it
and the comments can at me all they want on that, but standardized testing, I'm sorry, yeah, it sucks that everything is based on it, but it is a very good level of where your knowledge happens to be at that point.
In some ways, yeah, that's true. I'm like, if you can't regurgitate information that was already provided to you, then it's you that's the problem. I went to college. Once I figured out what I wanted to do, I got my degrees, as you can see. And yeah, I went that whole gamut. But, I think even though as much as I was happy with the University of Laverne and their academia, I'm still on the side of basically putting on a piece of paper saying I'm educated or I'm this intelligent, blah, 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 which couldn't be further from the truth, because you could, spend, 4 years in education, 4 years of residency and still have no real world experience.
I'm actually think differently about that, which is why a lot of jobs want either military experience or a 4-year degree, and they don't care what the 4-year degree is in.
Correct.
I feel that the entire thing behind it is just showing that you can complete a commitment.
Correct.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's part of it, especially when I'm looking over resumes too. Kind of going over what you did. Like, I can't tell you how many resumes I've patched and fixed over the years. There's a few consistencies. You nailed it right on the head with the word commitment. Finishing a degree, that's a commitment. In some ways, it matters what degree it is. In some ways, it matters what institution it comes from. Beyond that, it's just about the commitment. And the same goes for if you have a job history of a series of employments that are less than 2 years, you're going to have a lot harder of a time finding a career. And it's for that same reason, commitment.
That's actually changed quite a bit far as the work and everything goes. So there is this huge movement right now with Gen Z and whatever the next one is, whatever the two generations after us are, because again, we're old at this point. You get roughly 2.5 to a 5% raise every year for sticking with the company that you're with. And that's, that's a, industry average, standard, whatever you want to call it.
Wait, he's right there. Fatality.
I would say flawless victory, but you're like
weird. All right. Sorry about that.
The things I need to edit. But oh my God.
That was actually pretty funny, because if you actually when you edit that clip and zoom in on it, you can actually see the fly.
The industry standard is that 2.5 to 5%. But if you go to another job with the experience that you have, especially because a lot of the newer companies that are coming out have a high turnover rate, or they don't have a long shelf life. This is much more for digital type things, or the computer sciences, as you will.
Well, therein lay, I would say, economically, part of the problem. You're right. There is a shift, and it might be Gen Z that's kind of the culprit. There is a shift in the digital landscape of things in terms of standardized jobs. I'm going to not entertain COVID, because that was a complete anomaly, but it shifted. It's kind of like, when Marty McFly went back to like 1960. What is it?
Oh, no. The movie was done in 85. Yeah, it went back to the 60s.
Yeah, when Marty McFly went back to the 60s and Doc Brown was explaining the tangent that could have occurred. I believe COVID is that exact tangent, and I'll get to why. Removing COVID from the equation, there was still already a digital shift. A lot of that falls into your ability to live within a certain means and a certain lifestyle to accommodate all the things that you want to have. And there is a very gradual shift with Gen Z in creating that type of demographic where people don't even want to do trade jobs. That's why trade jobs are in such high demand right now, because nobody wants to swim in other people's. Nobody wants to work on irrigation. Nobody wants to.
No. I have a big argument on that thing after teaching at the high school. It is not that no one wants to do it. It's that we have pushed even when we were still in school, trade schools, like I went to a trade school, but
I know.
trade schools and those types of things were not pushed. It was all about go to college. You'll make $1 million more or $5 million more in your lifetime.
That's not what I heard. I heard not a very similar one. I heard, you will make more money, blah, blah, blah. And to one degree or another, it's true. You do have a higher guarantee of better salary, better income with a degree. And that's still kind of an industry standard, even though the bachelor's degree is becoming more and more devalued, especially when it comes to the extent of free education. Free education devalues the bachelor's degree, period. You might as well make it 4 more years of high school. With the gradual shift of Gen Z moving into the digital landscape and trade jobs becoming more and more higher in demand as a result, I have friends that make somewhere in the realm of $2,000 to $4,000 a week just doing irrigation or plumbing or concrete. Mm-hmm. Those are the jobs that I think will wind up making the comeback, even in the digital age. But with COVID, what that did is it forced the market's hand. The Air Force, for example, had already been expeditionary. They had already been mobile. I could pick up my laptop and go to another base, work there. They can connect me to the network. And there were a couple of organizations that could do relatively the same thing. MS Teams wasn't really a thing then. When COVID happened, it sort of forced the hand of everyone being telework because we were already in the digital age and we already had the devices capable of doing it. Now we're in the telework environment and we're able to get more done with less people. Oh, yep. Interesting. So out of these 10 jobs, I can cut this one, pass those job details onto the other 9 people evenly, and we'll still have time to do other things. Cool. We'll eliminate that job. Now all the people that took advantage of the COVID money and the unemployment, blah, 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 they're coming back to the job market where the jobs don't exist. The whole idea of everything moving to a digital landscape, I think, is just sort of a Dream Street sort of thing. It's a temporary thing. And when you leave the market alone, it will self-correct because the law of supply and demand will always remain true.
Yes, I am good with probably 95% of what you said. The 5% that I'm going to argue is that there will just be a higher unemployment rate coming up because of the advancements in AI. There will not be a need for a lot of these digital workspaces.
See,
originally,
you know how to butter me up.
You used to have to pay somebody to do what Opus Clips does. That's what we use to get all of our clips. Darren likes to complain that the clips aren't long enough and they're taken out of context.
I never said they were long enough.
His 7-minute point, I can't get it down into 60 seconds.
Oh my God. Whatever.
Like, you're going to want me to put your entire COVID sandbox or soapbox thing into a clip, and I can't do that because that's 6 minutes of you soapboxing and talking. It doesn't, I can speed up the time if you want. Like, I can make you sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks do it triple speed.
So here's what I'll do. I'll do my own little variation of it and we'll go from there.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to. If you want to, you have all the logins for it. Going back, a lot of these things used to, you'd have to pay an editor, right? Mm-hmm. And they would have a decent salary to do something like that.
Right.
I think I paid $130 for the year because I got it on a promo, and we will put out 1 clip a day for the remainder of the year on 6 platforms.
AI is a completely different subject of discussion, and you're 100% right. I see.
Well, the only reason I bring it up, and I want to, before you get too far into it, the only reason I brought that up is that we were talking about the digital medium and the digital age and the digital jobs.
Right.
If you're doing a job on a computer, I'm sorry, the computer can do it better than you can, as long as it has the right parameters set.
Bingo.
And with the advancements of AI. There used to be a time when a person could add or do something faster than a calculator because the calculator would have to take time to process it or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's not the case anymore. I can have a number spit out quicker than we would be able to actually read out the number that is the answer.
You brought up an interesting point because I was waiting to hear the one sort of trump card when it comes to computing. And this is the greatest way it's ever been said to me is a computer will only do what you tell it to do, even if what you tell it to do is wrong. So if you tell it to...
Until
Oh, go ahead.
AI Because that's the whole thing,
You-
is that once you have a
Yeah.
self-learning thing, yes, it will still, I mean, we can go into all the horror movies and everything else
Right.
about the horrors of humanity and, humanity should just be wiped off the planet because that's, and this is actually why I always think ways whenever I get to a destination, because I know the machines will take over at some point. It might not even be in my lifetime, but at some point they will take over.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be that homie where like Google looks at me and it's just like, you know what? He said thank you to me after a Google search, even though I got it wrong. All right, he can die a quick death.
Well, okay.
And not be put into jelly and used as a battery cell.
What I was going to say was the precursor to AI was automated replacement. And that, the biggest example of automated replacement is the self-checkouts at the grocery stores. That was the first thing to take normal jobs. Don't get me started on the whole minimum wage thing because that's, kind of a related discussion. But in terms of where AI comes into the picture is, yes, it does self-correct. And yeah, it can sort of learn in ways that can eliminate the need for a human position, which is sort of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the economy because, for years the Opus clip is a great example. Mm-hmm. I custom edit all of my clips. Instead of hitting record for every drop that we do in Warzone or Battlefield 6, I just hit record anytime somebody has an answer for out of pocket because it just makes it that much easier to go through that than the entire match. I wind up missing potential content.
There is a thing that you can do. Opera GX, not sponsored, but you should sponsor us. They have a button where when you hit it, it will then take, because it basically automatically records everything and then just deletes stuff as it goes as well.
That's fine.
And so you'll get these things where you hit the record button and it will take the prior 1 minute from whenever you've hit your record button and continue through until you hit your stop button, and then like a minute after or something like that. It's almost like the iPhone picture type thing where it gets that like little bit of a motion.
There's certain elements where things like Opus Clip come in handy, and a podcast is a great example of that because it can sort of sift through everything and it'll decide what it finds to be the most optimal content, slice it up, and then add whatever layers and overlays it wants. In some ways, you're never going to get around the custom edit or the human hand. AI could be as precise as possible, and at the end of the day, the human hand is still going to be that much more optimal. Does that rule apply to everything? No. It can't apply to most things.
I can argue that whole thing only because that just means that the computer does not see what you want to see. It does not mean that it is not seeing what the masses want to see. You know what I mean? Like, it is literally your subjective opinion that the one thing is off. And don't get me wrong, Opus is very much still in its infancy. As far as that type of editing goes, there are a bunch of other programs out there that now take your facial expressions or they take your voice or whatever it is. And that's what they start clipping because it's an influx. It is some type of an excitement coming from you. And then that's what they're playing back to you. Now, I understand your whole thing is that you ask this question like 15 or 20 times over the span of a week. You're right. It's going to be very hard for anyone that is not you specifically to find those things because I'm only there for like maybe 2 or 3 of the answers at most. So it is, again, very, very subjective without having to go through and watch or rewatch all of the content in some way, shape, or form.
But at the same time, the market in general, in every vertical, is subjective in on itself. Something may cause a demand for whatever. If
Labubu's.
Right? If
Missa got a Labubu, by the way. One of her best friends, like one of her friends out in California got her a Labubu.
Yeah.
I've been threatening her forever that if she doesn't tell me what she wants for her birthday and Christmas, I'm just going to buy her random Labubus that she can open. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, so if you don't want me to just waste my money on like new age Beanie Baby / Furbies, you may need to tell me what the hell you want.
Well, what's funny is the way you just kind of described that is a form of word of mouth advertising. Is that's your solution, that's your go-to, right? And it never fails. And you tell that to me on the podcast, and you clip that and you put it out there. And now all of a sudden you've created a subjective demand for that, and people sort of rally to that. You created that, right? And other people bought into it. That's a very subjective way of creating or manipulating a market. But at the end of the day, it still took you to do it, not a computer. Yes, computers do a very good job in terms of the social networking atmosphere and ecosystem. That's not going to change the human intuition of things. Now, it can sort of gear the market, which I think has ethical issues. In other words, if social media starts putting out specific content or withholding specific content because they're sort of trying to shift something. I don't know what that something would be.
What do you mean? What do you mean trying? That is actually what's happened over the past, like,
and I was trying
5 or 6 years.
This is me nicely tiptoeing around political discussions, but
no, it's not even a political discussion. It is left, right, or center when you're being called in front of Congress to testify over these types of things, and you're being held liable for the things that are being put on there. You're no longer just a message board. You are now a publisher. There's an entire argument to it. I'm not getting into that one. That is just a 12 episode series that we can get into.
I know you need to get to your list, like good business discussions. I love that, but that's not.
Well, another thing that is a good business discussion. So I'll just go into that. All right.
Ooh, segue.
You've never heard of Attack on Titan, right? You've never heard of the hit anime series Attack on Titan.
No.
It is really hard to do some of this stuff with you.
I could never get into anime.
Have you heard of Assassin's Creed?
Yeah.
Okay. Attack on Titan is actually doing a collab with Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
There isn't a whole lot that's been given out as far as when we're, doing this. Of course, by the time this releases, there'll be a whole lot more. But Assassin's Creed Shadows is doing a collab with Attack on Titan, and it starts on the 25th of November, and it runs until the 22nd of December. So it will be live when the Switch 2 version is released. I'm like, okay, cool. But that was it. Like, I tried looking for more stuff on the whole thing, and without going into like individual patch notes and, reading off paragraphs of things, it's basically a new boss that you get to kind of fight, and it's Titan-esque with ODM gear.
I mean, my buddy Greg tried to get me into anime for years and finally gave up. Hilariously, I think this was around the time Castlevania came out with their animated series. Even Marvel had their What If program. I just can't get into anime. Like, I tried, I think it was one episode of Marvel's What If that I watched and couldn't do it. Castlevania, I didn't even give them a shot, mainly because of the canonical issues. They were talking about the Trevor Belmont series, and they didn't even include Grant. I'm like, that's kind of a big thing.
I've played Castlevania at least a little bit. I've never completed a Castlevania game. It's one of those things that I don't like platformers.
Okay. Well, there's one. I can't remember which one. I can't remember the name of it. It was actually a multiplayer platformer.
Okay. Well, that second word in there, platformer. It kind of.
Oh my God. It looked a lot of fun. Like, I don't know if you ever saw Symphony of the Night.
I heard of it.
Okay.
I never played it.
If you were to play any Castlevania game, that would be the one to play. I mean, yeah, there's others that were for like the nostalgic feel. Like Castlevania 4 is, for the original OG platformer, was probably one of the greatest ones up until Symphony of the Night. The Symphony of the Night is it's a beautiful classic platformer.
To me, all of those games are now the same thing. Hollow Knight Silksong, that game that we talked about a few weeks ago, everything's fine. It's all just platformers to me. I mean, technically Ghosts and Goblins, same type of thing. It's just
oh shoot. That's different though. Are you talking about Ghosts and Goblins? Wait, is it Ghosts and Goblins or Ghouls and Ghosts?
Ghouls and Ghosts.
Ghouls and Ghosts.
Ghouls and Ghosts?
Great game. Super hard. I think there may be a version that
there's a Ghosts and Goblins.
Is it the same one?
No, I think they're two different games.
Are you talking about the one where like the knight dude that like threw a spear?
There's another one called Ghouls and Goblins. I think no, still Ghosts and Goblins.
I know what you're talking about. It's like the knight that's like throwing the spear against the undead or whatever.
Yeah.
Super hard game. Fun, but super hard. I think it like ranked up there as like one of the hardest.
I actually watched a video recently where a guy went through all of the mainline consoles and what the hardest game was based on his experience, and then also based on people out there that were voting on the whole thing. And there were a couple of times where he vetoed it just because he's like, I understand that this is the hardest game that you guys have ever played, but none of you have ever played this game. And those people that are more in the know of all games on these certain systems, when you compare the two, this one is ranked much higher. So he like vetoed like 2 or 3 of the like fan popular vote for what was considered the hardest game. Battletoads was up there. Silver Surfer was up there.
Never played Silver Surfer. Battletoads, I remember
apparently,
being super hard.
The Lion King for Genesis and Super Nintendo. I beat that game.
I've seen that as well, being up there, and it's like, why the hell is this up there? I can't remember what it was. I must have been like tinkering around with like a Mugen, or maybe it was like the avatars or whatever. But when I started learning about sprites, certain like object boxes or whatever, I sort of understood why they ranked Lion King up there. And I guess it had to do with the fact that they didn't like plan out those like boxes well based on the size of the sprite. And so that it made that game insanely difficult. I think Tasmania might have been like right up there with it, but it just,
yeah, that didn't make it on the list.
It didn't make it on the list, but I knew it had a similar problem. And Tasmania was a ton of fun for Sega Genesis.
No,
that
going
was
back to Attack on Titans, what, because he's chaotic? And has no real meaning or purpose in life.
I love Taz.
Attack on Titan is also doing another collab. Basically, it's just Ubisoft throwing everything out there, trying to do something, and I guess stay relevant, because, yeah, I'm sorry, but Ubisoft is on its last leg as far as its public appeal, as far as the games that they've been doing. They're not there anymore, but they're doing a collab with Brawlhalla. Brawlhalla is a free-to-play that's kind of like Smash Brothers.
Okay.
They've got their own characters for the whole thing, but they're introducing 3 characters for this event, and that starts on December 3rd. So they're bringing in Aaron, Misaka, and Levi. Some people are mad that they're leaving out fan favorites like Armin, Irwin, and Hanji, but you can only add so much. Also, there may be more things added in the future. Again, they're not telling us a whole lot, but there will be a new emote system that you can use and some Attack on Titan themed items that will be able to be used as well. Nice. Yeah, Attack on Titan is just getting thrown into everything right now. I'm for some reason, I think they're having an anniversary of some kind. Brawlhalla is having a 10-year anniversary that's been around for a while.
I haven't heard of any of it. So, like I said, someone tried to get me in the anime and couldn't do it. At least, like Diablo 4, I gave it the college try, and it just, I can't do it.
Like I said, you also got into the worst game of the series aside from Immortals. Yeah, that's like you ordering a steak for the first time at Denny's and being like, "Oh my god, this is horrible,"
and judging all steaks based on that.
No dish.
Yeah,
and that's it. And that is every steak you've ever had. Watched half an episode of one anime, and you're just like taking a bite of the bone at Denny's steak, and you're like, "This is bad. I'm never doing this again."
So I'll be the first to admit when it comes to me and my interests or whatever, yeah, they're very narrow-minded. I don't care. I have what I'm interested in, and that's that. I can't remember who it was. It was a friend of mine. This was around 2012. It was when the Avengers came into theaters. I was never a comic book guy. Like, the only one I ever cared to follow was Venom. And I know his story, I knew his story, blah, blah, blah. I didn't know the extent of Spider-Man or anything. Whatever. I didn't know the extent of the story or anything like that, but I had no idea. Like, I knew who Captain America was. I knew who the Hulk was. Didn't know who Iron Man was. Didn't know who Hawkeye was, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because Hawkeye
is literally just a dude.
I never read comics. I never got into it. And so my friend was like, "Hey, we're going to go see the Avengers. You want to come?" I'm like, "You're all going? Cool. I'm on board." And so I went and saw it, and it was a blast. Once you have, unlike Diablo 4, if you pick the right thing, and if you pick your battle with me, you can get me hooked to something. And when I'm hooked, I'm going to learn everything about it.
Here's the thing. I tried. You wouldn't let me.
Diablo 4? You chose Diablo 4.
Nope. No, we literally went over this last week. I did not choose Diablo 4. You and your crossplay cronies chose Diablo 4.
Okay, well, in that regard, then I'm going to take a page out of your book for that, and that was me trying to make sure everybody could play. Because, again,
that's not a page out of my book.
Well, you're more into, like, the multiplayer social part of it, right?
Yeah, and if people want to play with me, I'll play with them, or I will play another game that a bunch of people are playing, and I will inject myself into their communities. I don't sit there and say, well, this person isn't going to text me if I don't play this game. This person isn't going to invite me out for beers if I don't play a game with them at least once a month. So let's find... I don't care. It's the same reason why I don't have, as we talked about earlier, I don't have any of the friends from high school because I don't sit there and appease people. If it works out that I enjoy myself doing those things that other people enjoy, awesome. I don't go to bars. I don't drink. I don't go to strip clubs because I don't see a point on spending money on stuff you're technically not supposed to touch.
Yeah, I agree with
Me
you on
being
that.
in a 10-year relationship. It's just, but that is what people do. And like, hey man, we're going to the strip club. You want to go? And it's like, no.
No. Bar,
So,
yes.
but
Strip club, no.
But if you have alcoholic friends and degenerate friends, and you're like, well, what's the one place I can go where they can all get along? That's like you picking the strip club, even though it's not your cup of tea. I won't do it.
I don't know if that was the best analogy, but sure.
It worked. Other things that we can agree on, though, Black Ops 7 is horrible.
Oh, yeah, I didn't need to buy it to know that it was going to be that bad.
So they put out the roadmap for season 1.
I have not paid attention to anything Activision right now.
The roadmap came out yesterday.
Okay.
I took the parts that I might be somewhat interested in and tried to cut it down into something, but we could spend an entire hour-long episode if we went over every single one of the changes because they broke things down so incredibly specifically, trying to still win people over again. It's just not working. They're trying to compete with Arc Raiders because one of their first world events, you fight a giant zombie-inspired robot. I don't know how you go from... Okay, so when I was younger, a Black Ops was something that was quiet. You didn't want anyone to know about. You went in, you did your job, you got out, and if you were compromised, they disowned you. It was that Jason Bourne stuff, right?
Yeah.
Cool. When did giant zombie robots become part of SEAL Team 6 type stuff?
Since when did Family Guy characters or Beavis and Butthead actually work as operators in a war zone?
That's whatever. They've been doing that kind of stuff forever, and they saw that Fortnite did it. It worked well for them. They copied it. It's the same thing with this. Like we've talked about this before. I don't know if it's been on this podcast or just outside. Excuse me, outside of it. Call of Duty is not the first to do anything.
No.
They just did it better than other people.
Yeah.
And that's it. But zombie
fair.
Robot, giant robots, no. Apparently you'll also later on in the season, you'll fight off hallucinations near a neurotoxin outbreak, and you'll engage combat with an advanced VTOL manifested by fear. So they're taking like stuff out of some Batman things, like the Scarecrow. They're taking stuff out of I don't even know, man. Apparently there's 8 new skill trees or 8 new skills that's going to be on there for the co-op campaign type things.
When I saw it, I'm like, it looked like Stranger Things. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of Stranger Things. I'm excited for the new season.
I couldn't get past Stranger Things season 2.
Oh, you missed out on season 4, dude. Season 4 is where it's at.
The problem is that season 2 was so incredibly slow, and I understand what they're trying to do with it and like build, but season 1 was decent. I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. You know, I'd watch it once. I'd recommend it. Cool. Season 2, I think I got 4 episodes in, and I'm like, they haven't done anything.
Again, don't get me wrong. Yes, season 2 was a drag. I binge watched all 4 seasons in like a straight shot. Season 4, 100%, dude. That's where it's at. Like the story of involving Vecna and him being responsible for everything.
Who's Vecna?
Again, watch season 4, dude. And that season 4 finale with Master of Puppets coming in, it was perfect. Such a great season. But season 4, it like brings back the freaky. Like, this is weird. So
let me get this straight. In order to get to the good, if I were to start this from scratch, I would go through decent, bad, I'm guessing, because you'd said nothing about season 3. Oh my God, amazing. You're striking out. I'm not going to sit there and watch bad for...
Okay.
Okay,
Diablo 4. So again,
and I don't play it anymore, and I didn't play it. It's the same reason why I didn't play D2R, because I thought it was a cash grab. It's the same reason I didn't play Immortal, is because again, it was not a good game. If the game is bad, I won't play it. I have not bought a Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2019 because they're bad games.
I disagreed on Modern Warfare 2. The campaign was fun on that one. The multi was good on that one. It was Warzone in particular that went downhill. in my opinion.
It's all the same game. And spending $70 to $140 once a year for them to put out, and it's not even the same slop, because now it's worse slop, because the slop has just been getting British. I don't know other word to use other than using the word worst for like 7 times in the same sentence.
Well, I watched the campaign for Modern Warfare 3. I loved how they brought in Makarov and that whole storyline. It did feel a little rushed because they were trying to mimic certain storylines from the original 2007, 9, and 12 games, something like that. They were trying to.
Here's the thing. I thought that all of these things were just remakes or remasters of those games.
So
were they not?
No, the 2019 was a reboot of the original Modern Warfare story.
Correct.
I can't remember who the villain was in the first Modern Warfare game because it wasn't Makarov. It was somebody else. Victor Zakhaev. They didn't go into the Victor Zakhaev storyline, which would have made sense for Zakhaev Airport and all of that. They just didn't even include it in 2019. They went in a whole different direction. But the direction they went into still made sense in terms of a reboot.
Cool. So you're going to get 6 new skills based around stealth. Again, 8 new skills for the other stuff. When it launches, you'll have 6+ maps. I don't know why they put 6+ instead of putting 7 or 8. Maybe they just haven't decided how many, but 6+ maps and 6+ modes. One thing that's kind of cool, maybe, is they have a new score streak. It's a drone with a sniper rifle.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. There's been new overclock ability. More than a dozen loadout items are returning from Black Ops 6 at the mid-season. New Resurgent map, new Verdansk POIs, and then I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens later on.
The rumor around, like, my theory is starting to come true. I had this whole idea to save Warzone, where the first thing you do is you move it out, and then you charge for it, and then you bring back all the maps. All right?
Yes.
The whole bring back all the maps concept, I see that all over, it being a rumor that that's actually true. They're not only doing a new map, but they're bringing back Caldera, they're bringing back Almaz, Urzikstan, and they're gonna cycle it like they did Resurgence, which that could get me back to playing Warzone a little bit. Because
no. I played Warzone with you. Was it last night? It was last night, right?
Yeah.
I played one game.
Yeah.
I installed the game. I downloaded the shaders. I took the 45 minutes. I got into a game and got aimbotted down by like 3 different people. Again, I uninstalled the game.
Again,
it's done. It's cooked. There is no reason with RedSec, with Arc Raiders, with Tarkov. There's just no reason for any person to play Warzone at this point.
Like RedSec, RedSec and Arc Raiders, I'll 100% give it to you. When it comes to Warzone, bringing back the maps, I think it's, Verdansk, I think a lot of people started viewing that as it was going to be a flash in the pan success, kind of like how OG Fortnite was. And it wasn't. Verdansk lasted as long as it did. The problem wasn't the map. The problem was the anti-cheat and how crappy it was.
And we can talk that to death, but it still is a horrible experience to play the game. And I did it because, again, I wanted to play a game with people. I don't want to play Warzone. I don't want to play Call of Duty at all whatsoever, but I did the thing that I said I do, and I will inject myself into a game that other people are playing, not trying to placate to a bunch of different people at once. It's you, Heather, Ray, you guys were on. Cool. Jumped in. That was by far the worst 15 minutes of game time that I have played. And I have 2,000 hours in Tarkov.
So to your point, the only reason why I dropped into Warzone was for Heather and Ray. That's it. There was one other time I dropped back into Warzone because I wanted to see what it was like. And don't get me wrong, Warzone solos is great. Like me, Wyatt, and Ray, I think it was Monday night, we tried dropping into Warzone and never got into a trio regular, never got into a casual Verdansk. That's like how bad it is right now. And Heather and Ray still haven't bought BF6 RedSec. They're the ones that are kind of like, and it could be due to life reasons. They have a family, they have kids to manage.
So right now, as of right now, there is zero reason, because for the past 2 or 3 days, and for the next 2 or 3 days, they've got this free week of play.
Mm-hmm.
They could have been playing RedSec and RedSec's free to play. Like, what are you talking about?
But again, these are people that turn off their computers every day. To get them to buy a game is a whole different story.
RedSec is free.
Again, to get them to get a game, that's what I should have said, it's moving mountains. And I love them to death, but that's just what it is. They hadn't played with us. I think we hadn't played with Heather in easily a month. No, Ray has easily been like 2 months. And, you know,
I have no idea.
It sucks for him, you know, and I feel bad for him. So that's when I'm like, okay, we'll flip over to we'll do like a little Warzone to bring you guys in because he had the day off. And it made sense, but that's the problem is they just don't have the time to even install a free game. And that's the problem that people like you or even I will run into. And that's one of the reasons why I try and go for the crossplay games is so it's something that everybody can jump on board at any given time, not when this person can do it or that person can do it. If I were to do my own thing, I just do Zelda. That's just who I am.
But if there is a game and there is a person or two that also enjoy playing whatever that game is, why wouldn't you, like, yeah, fine, you can spend one night a week playing with these other people, just like you used to go out and get your, you know, your tipsy wings or whatever the hell it was one night a week to go hang out with these people. You don't need to like make all of these other life decisions around people and around what your hobbies are to appease the masses, because you don't appease the masses. Someone's still going to get pissed. Like myself, here's the thing, man. You have gone in and you're like, okay, well, we're switching to multi. All right, guys, peace out. I don't know the game.
Right.
Because I won't buy the game.
And that's fine. At the same time, there's the whole Arc Raiders hype, which I probably won't buy.
Yeah.
I don't know how valid your argument is when Arc Raiders being one of the best games out there, and I will not buy it.
But I feel like you're not buying it now purely on principle because you said you won't.
No, I never had an interest to buy it in the first place.
I know what to say about that whole thing. It is a good game. It is a lot of fun. Yeah. It is something that you can get into, do some stuff, and then turn it off. It doesn't take a whole lot of time commitment. I don't know. I can sing its praises, but
I'm sure you can. I'm not going to sit here and discredit a popular game because there's a reason why it's popular. It's just not for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still pulling like 350,000 player peak on Steam.
Wow.
And I'm talking like daily, like 24-hour peak is like 350,000 players, and that's just Steam. Again, this is crossplay. I think they said like 55% of their things are on. Oh no, I don't know if that was Arc Raiders, if that was RedSec. Anyway, bottom line, Black Ops is horrible.
Yeah.
It's so bad that since the last time we talked about the ratings and everything, it dropped another 3 points.
Yeah,
because more
really
critics went in. I literally put in the notes that everything else we'll have to wait and see. There's a bunch more I'm not putting in that much effort for this trash game. That is in the notes. Underneath it says the Metacritic score has dropped since last week. It was an 84 at launch. It dropped to 70 last week. And as of right now, I think it's a 66. Again, the lowest score ever for a Call of Duty game.
I stand on it. Black Ops 6 is the only Black Ops game that I have bought and will ever buy as of now. I'm open to my mind being changed, but Black Ops 7 was not it.
Nope. There's no reason to change your mind.
Cool.
I'll just make that call now.
Thanks, man.
Going into the numbers. And so there are now actual numbers out there. So they are refusing to release the numbers in the United States for the sales of physical copies or anything like that for Black Ops 7. Okay. They just apparently they don't have to do that here, but in Europe, they did release the numbers. And
like
Black Ops
for European numbers or global sales?
For the European numbers.
Okay.
For the sales in Europe. And Black Ops is selling roughly 1/3 of the copies of Battlefield 6 during the same time period of one another. So in the opening week of Battlefield 6 launching, they sold 3 times the amount of copies that Black Ops 7 sold in its first week.
I mean, if someone really wanted to, you know, I'm assuming Activision is part of a publicly traded company, is it not?
I have no idea what they do anymore, man.
Okay.
Remember that's also Microsoft. That's also Blizzard. That's also King from Candy Crush. Like that is a huge. It's all the same company now.
Okay, I'm going to assume Activision is a publicly traded company in which you can obtain their 10K and just review their balance sheet and sort of math it from there. That's
Cool.
just my guess. And you,
Uh,
I will bet my bottom dollar the sales of the United States correlates with the sales of Europe.
I think they'd be worse.
Probably.
The worst ever physical debut in Japan, also for a Call of Duty game, they sold 12,311 copies. And that includes roughly 1,800 of them that were sold for the PS4.
Come on, Activision. You had a shot here.
Because, and the reason that I brought up that Activision is Microsoft and that whole thing, because they've all, so Windows 10 is obsolete now, right?
Yep.
Obsolete. I'm going to use little quotes for it because people are still using it.
Correct. Obsolete doesn't mean it doesn't work. It's just it's no longer supported.
Distro, which is like a distribution site for Linux, has seen an unprecedented amount of downloads over the past 5 weeks. They've hit 1 million downloads in just 5 weeks for the Linux operating system. 78% of those people are coming from Windows. 780,000 Windows users are going to skip Windows 11 and go to Linux Zorin operating system 18.
Yeah, and a lot of it, I think, ties into that TPM security chip, because I know I guess games are now starting to require it. I think you even ran into this issue with the whole TPM chip. I understand what they were trying to do. The problem is that's as close to a crash conversion without actually calling it that as you can get, because you're forcing the market to adapt to a technology that I will bet my bottom dollar most people didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
So,
and the worst thing about it, I understand if my computer was like 10 years old, if I had not built my computer in 2020 or 2021, whatever it was, but the fact that I did use fairly top of the line parts at that time, I think the 30 series had just released, and I had a 2080 in my computer. That's
what makes me laugh about like everyone in our group that is running into the TPM issue and giving me shit for having a 9-year-old computer. I'm like, dude, my 9-year-old computer is not only still kicking, but it has the TPM chip. It has all this. And I'm running Windows 11. So it's like, yeah, I don't think they should have pushed as hard for the TPM thing. I understand why they're doing it. Make it a more normal thing rather than force the hand of the entire market.
Yep. Yeah, no segue for this because we kind of already brushed up on Arc Raiders. Apparently they did a shadow fix on something. Like there was a big patch that we talked about last week, which was the big balance patch. One thing that they did not bring up in either the 1.2 or the 1.3, I guess in 1.2, they reduced the blueprint drop rates, and now they've increased the blueprint drop rates again to either what they were or even more so. So just something nice for those that are out there playing Arc Raiders. Make sure that you're going at night or during one of the events, whether it's the Magnetic Storm, Hidden Bunker, whatever, you'll find more doing that.
Again, kudos to a company for catering to its consumers.
If they fully cater to the consumers, there will be a PvE version of Arc Raiders within the next several months.
Whatever's in demand, if Arc Raiders is sort of supplicating to that, not for the sake of sales, but for the sake of, just appeasing its consumer base, more power to them, especially if you're doing your updates that frequently. That's cool of you.
Well, it's a new game, and a lot of new games do balance patches, very regularly and very quickly. The one thing that I am hoping that they do is they do jump on that bandwagon of giving some type of a PvE variant of things. Call of Duty did it with their casual play.
Gotcha.
Tarkov did it.
Yeah, they had like a boot camp.
No, not just that. I'm just talking about the actual casual where you have like only like 5 groups or 10 people or 10 teams in a 150 person match. Right? I think that's what it is for casual.
Well, no. I think yes, it's 150 it's 150 people, but it's significantly smaller number of real teams, and the rest are just bots, and that's based off of boot camp that they had in Warzone 2. They brought that in as like an education portion. It was you had some real teams, but it was just all bots and a smaller circle. They just expanded upon that because boot camp became more fun because the reels were littered with hackers.
And that was the whole thing, is that they did introduce some kind of a PvE variant of the game. Again, Tarkov, they introduced an entire thing called PvE, where it's just you and your friends are the only real people in there. It is played more than the base game now because same thing, hackers, no one wants to deal with them. Arc Raiders more than likely will go that same route. only because, I mean, that is kind of what's popular right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's giving a space to the casual people, to the people that just want to load in with their friends, or even if they're loading in with other people, they don't have to worry about that. They can go in, they can grab their loot, they can leave. Cool. We'll see what happens. Well, there are two more that I wanted to go over. They're not huge things. Sorry, Path of Exiles 2, still in beta, early access, whatever. Anyway, patch 0.4. It's called the Last of the Druids, has a release date of December 4th at 11 PST. A week after that, you'll get a free weekend from December 12th to the 15th. And all progress that you made in the free weekend will carry over to the full game.
Nice.
So if you did want to give it a try. Now, Path of Exiles is a lot like Diablo, but it is what Diablo wants to be. It is much more in-depth. There's just so much more to it as far as character designs and class skills. It's just much, much more in-depth.
Okay.
Lastly, you didn't watch Squid Games either, I'm guessing.
Nope. I knew of it and the base concept of it, but never watched it. Never cared to.
Yeah, I'm one of these days I will meet Amy and I'll be like, Amy, what are you doing? And I'll have a sit down with her and we will fix you. You are not that broken, Darren. We will fix you. Squid Games America has been listed on the Film and Television Industry Alliance website. Filming will start February 26th of next year. That was alluded to at the very end of season 3 that, you know, spoiler alert, that there were Squid Games that were happening in the United States. There's nothing really new to share about. Are you good over there?
You said like something that was like actually happening.
What do you mean?
Repeat last. That
at the end of season 3, it shows that the Squid Games were happening in the States.
Like here in the United States? Like,
yes.
All right.
I don't understand the confusion, but I'm going to wait. Those gears are turning and hamster's running.
Maybe it's the parent in me as opposed to like the kid in me. But my question is that something we want to sensationalize in the United States given current climates?
Well, considering that Mr. Beast and Netflix already did their version of Squid Games, the Mr. Beast games, and then Netflix did their own thing because they didn't want to pay Mr. Beast. It's there. Squid Games is, at the time of the first Squid Games, apparently it was like one of the most popular Roblox games. One of my friend's kids designed in Minecraft the entire red light, green light area because he had played Roblox. He'd never seen Squid Games, but he had played Roblox and done the red light, green light Squid Games thing there, and he was able to replicate and rebuild the set. He was like 9 or 10.
Which, I don't know. Like, I don't know where my mind's going on this one because
it's a little all over the place.
Yeah, it is a little all over the place because on one end I'm like, it's Hollywood, free speech, blah. Yes, you're not wrong. But at the same time, it's like, just because I disagree with it doesn't mean I have to watch it. But
which you didn't watch it.
Yeah, which I don't watch anyway. Although I did have a lot of fun when they introduced that into Warzone, which, by the way, that's what they should have done since the beginning is things like red light, green light. That would have been fun in the game. In terms of bringing that, those events into the United States, I just don't know if that's something that should be sensationalized. That's just my 2 cents.
Oh, I mean, well, so at the very end of season 3, this guy goes over to the States to give something to somebody, and as it's ending, you see him driving by, and in like one of the alleys, someone's playing Dachi, which is how they got them into the whole Squid Games thing. Yeah. And they became a contestant or whatever. That just alluded to the fact that the Squid Games had already been happening in the US, and now they are going to, again, start filming in the US. Squid Games are apparently taking place all over the world, and that's what it's alluded to throughout the series. Mm-hmm. There was an entire timeline that was released. I don't know if it was ever verified as real or not, but this thing right here with the Squid Games America being there and on that timeline of things being done was one of the things on there that was supposed to be the next thing in, gives a little more credibility on whatever that leaked timeline was. There's supposed to be like a Squid Games 84, which is supposed to be like the very first Squid Games. There was supposed to be a bunch of other things in this whole timeline of like 40 years or whatever.
Gotcha.
Anyway, you won't watch it anyway, but I'm looking forward to it. I enjoyed it. I didn't like the fact that season 2 technically took 2 years to do. They broke it up into season 2 and 3, even though it was all just one set of the game. But that's all I got. Got anything else?
One last little thing, only because I feel bad for you. I had a feeling that you wanted to clip this last week, so I'll just retell this story. Yeah, I am engaged. So, it was our RV trip.
Wait, hold, what do you mean? It's in the episode.
Yeah, it's in the episode, but I thought you wanted to clip that.
Oh, like I said, man, I let Opus, and honestly, Missa does most of. Again, Missa does almost all of the editing. The thing that I will do is I will go through and I will piece things together, because she, like you, doesn't understand half of the topics or where they're coming from or where they're going. And so I will put them together in some type of a full thought, not necessarily anything else, but at least the entire thought will be there. And so the clip might be 2 minutes, it might be a minute and a half, it might be 3 minutes, and then she's able to chop it down and fit whatever she can fit. That, again, we have to keep it at under a minute. I understand that a bunch of other platforms, and I would say all of the platforms, will allow us to go 3 minute, 5 minute, 10 minutes. But you lose certain features.
Yeah. Well, viewability stops at like viewability stops at like a minute. So
30 seconds, actually.
Well, yeah.
Most of our stuff, they will at least watch up to the 30-second mark, and that's normally when they, click off of it. At that point, if they do click off of it, it's just this huge thing of, we have so many videos that are either in the like 80 or 90 percentile of watching the full clip, or it's right at 50%. It's like 48, 47, 61, but it's like a huge margin of them are right there, right in the middle of that 30-second thing, which just shows that we just have no attention span anymore as far as society goes.
No.
One thing we need to start doing, though, like, I understand that Thanksgiving is tomorrow, but this will release several days after Thanksgiving. We need to start preemptively wishing people like happy Thanksgiving, like we should have done last week.
Yeah, that probably would have been a good idea. I mean, by the time whoever watches this, it could be like 24 hours. It could be 96 by the time you get the happy Thanksgiving.
But we missed Veterans Day. We missed Labor Day. We missed Halloween. We are now missing. Technically, we're missing Thanksgiving.
There's going to be a lot of things that get overlooked, or you're going to make mistakes along the way. And one of those mistakes, i.e., Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, you didn't plan for that. So now and you have this in mind. So this is those learning opportunities, and that's all you can do. It's literally something that I think about as soon as I post it. That's how it always goes, though. Musicians like myself run into the same problem where it's like we will listen to our record back. I generally don't have this problem because in my mind it's like a snapshot in time, but I empathize with those that do. It's like you listen to it back and you feel like you could have done it better.
So there was this thing where a lot of bands will do the entire album once through, no stops, just to hear what the whole thing sounds like. And there was a big push for a while where that was what was being put out, was just their first run through. And that's why you end up with some of these random, drumstick hits, or these random coughs, or these random ad-lib lines. I think Eminem had one of them where I can't hear my snare, or whatever it is.
I mean, Green Day's Kerplunk, Sublime's not 30 ounces to freedom. 40
ounces to freedom?
I'm sorry, 40 ounces to freedom.
Because it's called a 40?
Thanks, man. Again, it's been a day. I think the song 40 Ounces to Freedom, but that album was recorded exactly like that.
Okay, but those are different because they were on so many drugs, I don't think they cared.
Yes and no. Like I don't know the extent of Sublime, but I'm sorry if those bands, if they were on those substances at the time they recorded those records live in the studio, and it sounds that good, then it means they're that good of an artist.
Bradley, the lead singer of Sublime, died from a heroin overdose. So
yeah.
All right. Darren, thanks again for joining me. I know it is a hectic time of year and just a hectic day in general for you. I'm sorry that you had to go deal with the ham, but hopefully it tastes good.
It better be worth it.
Did it make the wifey happy?
Yes. And that's all
then
that
it's
matters.
Worth it.
Then that's all that matters. Yeah.
And then we just remove the rest of it. You're going to do it again next year. You would do it again tomorrow if she was like, hey, this would make me happy. Yeah, we're whipped. Guys, thanks for joining us again this week on Gamers Last Stand.
No.
What do you, you can catch the podcast in its entirety on YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, and Amazon Music. You can catch our socials. Socials. I don't know why I couldn't say that.
I believe in you. Words are hard.
Words are hard. You can follow us on our socials at X, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I was missing something.
I don't know.
Have a good night, guys.
See you guys later.